think I might be square and just hit it. I hate it, but I just think that they're definitely the best team in that division.
I think Jared Goff is worth a look at the MVP. He's like about 25-1.
I think it could get real ugly in Tampa. Baker is not him. Welcome to Gamblin and Ramblin, a weekly show where we react and rant about the weekend in sports betting. And the weekend just got a lot better because football is back. Finally, I'm Tim Kalinowski. You're Charlie DiSturco. You can follow us both in the Action app, Action YouTube channel, Action Network HQ on TikTok and Twitter. Bye baseball.
Thank goodness, Tim. I have been driving myself crazy with this second half slump. 1,000 bets to be up 1 unit is just honestly the most devastating thing I can ever say. It doesn't matter. I'd rather be down 20 units at this point because of the amount of work I put in. But college football's here. The NFL is right around the corner, and we're finally out of that, waking up and having no sports till 7 p.m. and it only being baseball.
What's the ROI on 1 unit over 1,000 bets?
I could tell you right now as I pull up the app. Let's see.
Good plug for the app here.
Is 0.12%.
Hell yeah.
I was rocking a nice 30 units around the All-Star break, and it's just been a bludgeoning Grim Reaper scythe at my neck every damn day.
I quit betting baseball weeks ago. It was too much. I just can't do it because you know what? Also too, I'm done watching too until the playoffs. Yeah. So there was part of me like, I don't even need to do this anymore. I can't. I'd rather focus on preseason football than be like, let's turn on Pirates Brewers here on a Thursday afternoon. The cycle is you convince yourself, oh, this is great. And then it's like, this is not very great, actually. This kind of sucks.
It's also just like I've made more on 4 or 5 preseason football bets than I have in the whole 6 months of baseball. So it's finally coming.
I remember the Hall of Fame game. I just it kind of snuck up on me and I was like, oh, I'll just tail Kerner today. Went 2-0 and I'm like, oh, this feels good. Oh, yeah. 2-0. I remember this.
I forgot what it feels like to win money.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Wow. Okay. That was a lot better than, a first 5 under, getting torched in the bottom half of the 5th with 2 outs. It's a lot better.
Yeah. I remember when we had that and the guy got hit by a pitch on an 0-2 count and it was like, oh, we finally had it. Nope. You can't come up with it.
I'm so numb to baseball betting too that it just doesn't even again, when you're like, Tim, we got screwed. You see this? I'm like, dude, yeah, you're betting baseball. That's what happens. You just get screwed.
Thank God it's coming to an end and there's a distraction right around the corner.
My buddies are he's like, the fucking Diamondbacks. And I'm like, dude, go make a Big 12 power ranking. A lot more fun.
Yeah, dude, you could if we made a list of things that are more fun than betting baseball, we probably have 10,000 things on the list at this point.
It's so bad. So, week 0, we're back. I try not to week 0 for me. It's you feel like you get your knowing ball card revoked if you say that week 0 sucks. I say it and people are like, oh, you must well be a college football fan. It's it doesn't really just suck because of the matchups. I can get greasy with it. I don't care. As long as there's a point spread, I'm interested. It's the fact that they stagger them so poorly. The first game being at 2:30 and then waiting till 5:30 is just that's not what I think of when I think of college football.
It's an appetizer. It's like you're having a charcuterie board and it's just only little things that you can pick at over this entire day rather than waking up and having, game day on into 12 o'clock, the amount of games that we just and it's nonstop until 2 a.m. after Pac-12 after dark. At least it's back. Like that's all the silver lining and everything, right? Like it's like,
Yeah.
yes, week 0 isn't the best because of the staggering and just how many games are being played. But at the end of the day, it's football, and it's a little bit of emotional like start where you're like, oh my God, it's finally back.
Yeah, exactly. So, we're not complete sickos. We're not going to go game by game here and give you a reaction. I mean, who really cares? But we will say, we usually do for NFL Sunday sweetheart, Sunday heartbreak. We'll just do it for week 0 to just get the juices flowing as we head into Thursday night when we get Florida and Utah. So I think you're pretty passionate about your Saturday heartbreak, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah, Tim, I'm excited college football is back. And I'm excited that I now have a Saturday to sit down on my couch and watch college football the entire time. But this Saturday, I made one singular week 0 bet, mostly because I was with the girlfriend. Her best friend got engaged, so we were trying at the winery, making sure that they didn't know about the party, right? So now I'm like, okay, I'm not going to gamble the entire day at the winery. I'm going to place
very kind of you. Very kind
exactly.
of you.
I'm a caring guy. I'm not going to look at my phone the entire time. So I bet on UTEP. I bet on Minor Nation, a staple of Action Network. And Tim, I'm at this engagement party, and I not watched the entire game. I pull up the screen, and it's 3rd and 1. UTEP is driving down the field. They have the last possession of the game. There's like 2 minutes left. And they take an end zone deep shot. And I'm like, oh my goodness, okay, it's whatever. College football, you can get a yard. It's not the NFL. Like, these guys are not going to stop a 1-yard rush. What did UTEP do? They passed the fucking football again. And then they threw an interception. And I sat there and I go, man, if this wasn't the first fucking week of college football, I would be so much more angry, because it's 3rd and 1 and you pass twice. Just run the football, get the first, keep the clock going, and win the damn game, or force overtime with a field goal. But instead, they threw it twice. I lost my first college football bet of the season. It's on brand, whatever. But UTEP, after all the love we've had for you the past few years, you go out and you screw me this time.
It's no, that stung. And I will say that game, I was on the over. Great job, Tim. But and I will say I was in week 0 form myself last Saturday, because I made the stupid, just idiotic mistake. I mean, maybe I don't know ball. Maybe I don't, because I'm watching the UTEP game and I have the over and I see Jacksonville State, deep shot, bomb, touchdown, turn the TV off, get in the Uber to go to the bar, check my phone in the Uber. I'm like, where'd that touchdown go? It was called back because he actually dropped it. They reviewed it, whatever. It's like, here I am like, why would I should know better than to turn it off before they do all the flags, they do all the reviews. Like, that was just so complete brain fart on my part. And I'm like, I wanted to punish myself. I'm like, I deserve to go take a lap after that, because that is not what I'm capable of when it comes to inhaling football.
Oh my God. I know you can't ever, until you see that extra point go through the uprights, you can't leave the screen, because you don't know what's going to happen. That game was a disaster. I know a lot of people were on the over and a lot of people on UTEP, and the exact opposite happened. Also, by the way, I will say, I had UTEP, so I'm streaming this game at this engagement party, like in the corner, just like real quick before I'm only watching the last drive. And my friends start blowing up the group chat like Jacksonville State, exclamation point. And I'm at 4th and 1. I'm like, of course, like there's no way that this play is now going to be a first down. And then drop back, nothing's open. The entire right field is open, but instead he decides to force a pass and throws the interception. First off, don't do that. Second off,
also, that's also a week 0 move, is like, it's hard to avoid streaming at this point. People are on the go, this and that. Like, we have group chat rules where you have to establish if you're streaming beforehand, and it helps alleviate a lot of issues. It really does. It helps.
I usually go on Do Not Disturb, but I was like so in the moment of like, I'm just pulling up to watch 2 plays. Like, I wasn't I just wanted to watch the last couple runs. So I'm like, okay, whatever. I'm going to just pull up the game. And of course, it's 3rd and 1 and 4th and 1. I didn't expect them not to get the first down there. If anything, the game was going to end like in a couple minutes.
It's terrible. It's terrible. I'll tell you. So let's keep it negative. My heartbreak. I mean, this is where, as a gambler, this is why early in the season really, really sucks, because they hang these lines all summer long, and I waited and waited all summer long to get Navy plus 21.
I knew you were gonna say
I waited all summer long. 20's there, 20 and a half, this, and I'm checking it every single day. Like, oh, Tim, what are you doing this summer? Oh, well, I start every morning with checking the Navy number to see if it got to 21. And like, finally, a week and a half out before the game, Navy plus 21, minus 115 is on the board. I'm like, now this is why I'm smart. This is why I'm persistent. This is why you do your homework. This is why we do it all summer long. It's for this right here. Idiots will just take 20 and a half. I waited patiently for the half point. I got a full 21. and within seconds, that didn't matter. I'm like, good thing I waited. I literally, if someone said, what'd you do this summer? I would say, all I did was watch the Navy line against Notre Dame. That's about all I did all summer long. And it was all for nothing. All for nothing.
I did the same exact thing, and I didn't pull the trigger because I don't know if it's called the Action Network jinx or whatever it is, but I went to go place the 21 wager, and I saw that there were like 20 people on Navy and not a single person on Notre Dame. And I was like, I'm staying away. If Navy does it, they do it. But this had all of like the, projections, and it's a first time offense and a new quarterback. They can't stop the Navy run. I was like, I'm going to stay away. I was like, I'm only making one bet. Obviously, mine ended up just as much heartbreak as you. But it's like the Action Network curse whenever there's so many guys on one side.
And like 21 sucks because it's like, it was over quick, but you're like, I mean, it's still 21. If we could just get one here, like you start like convincing yourself like, well, 21's a lot of points. We just
the worst part is it's Navy, and so they only run the football. So you can't even like get like an 80-yard touchdown pass like other teams can. And just all of a sudden it's like, well, maybe there's a backdoor cover. Tim, if there's 3 minutes left and you're on your own 20, you're not going 80 yards in 3 minutes with that team.
No, exactly. And you're just sitting there and you're like, well, so much has to go right for this to like be in the mix. And it was over from the jump. I felt like a complete asshat. And that stung. That's like, I was telling people, oh, well, you got to wait for the 21. I wouldn't grab 20 and a half. You never know. Yeah. Moron.
In true fashion, we've all suffered a heartbreak off the rip in week 0.
Yeah. And one team does deserve their flowers. My sweetheart, the UMass Minutemen. Holy shit.
I can't believe it. I can't.
I remember 2 years ago betting their over-under win total at over 1.5. And it came down to the last game against New Mexico State, and it didn't hit. And I'm like, this team, I mean, they might go beat Tennessee next week.
Dude, I saw that. I should have pulled the trigger. You know what it is my friends in the group chat were like UMass is the worst team in college football. Other side's a lock. I should have known right there. I should have thrown the entire house on UMass and called it a day, because that was like the side that everyone in my group chat was so passionate about. And they're all, average college football fans. No one at action. And I'm like, oh my goodness, this team. I think their win total was only 1.5, 2.5 this year too, or was it?
I think it was 2.5. I think it either was 2 or 2.5. But yeah, I mean, hey, halfway there.
Dumpster diving. I can't believe they won outright. They're 8-point underdogs. I should have juicy.
They looked like they could go beat the Kansas City Chiefs. I mean, the UMass Minutemen. And so yeah, shout out to the Minutemen. We have to do our NFC hot takes. We did AFC. We got to make our way through the NFC divisions. Basically, you give a take on the division. The other person grades. Is that a mild take, medium to hot, or is that a scorcher? I'll spin the wheel and let you start with where you want to go here.
All right, let's start with. All right, I'm gonna start with I think my mildest take that I have.
Okay.
And it's the fact that the Arizona Cardinals are going to have the least amount of wins in this entire season. Putting up my computer and seeing that Colt McCoy got released, and now the Cardinals are deciding on their starting quarterback with the newly acquired Josh Dobbs, or the kid they just drafted. I've had my
phone on. I've had my phone on all week. I'm waiting to get a call from the Cardinals. I mean,
yeah, you honestly, you have a good enough arm, Tim. I think you could easily try out and make their quarterback team, because the quarterback room right now is honestly the worst quarterback room I think I've ever seen in an NFL season, given the fact that Kyler Murray is hurt. And if it doesn't say that they're just tanking to tank, this is what it's showing. They are now 7-point underdogs to the Commanders week 1. The Commanders with Sam Howell starting at quarterback. It's just like I am watching this happen and unfold, and I'm like, I thought we were behind like this whole obvious tanking, giving up the entire season. Like, yes, Kyler's out, but you have a veteran quarterback. They could have kept it close with Washington, and now they got rid of him, and they're bringing in Dobbs, who is horrific, or start a rookie. This team is going to win. If Kyler comes back, maybe they're 4 wins, but they might go winless. Like, hey, this is a bad team. They traded away Simmons for nothing too.
If I'm him, I don't even come back. I mean, like, he's going to get himself hurt again. Like, they're ugly. And I always kind of push back on the NFL tanking thing. Like, oh, these guys don't tank. They need jobs, but like, in terms of management, they're doing everything they can to lose 17 games. And I could lose 17 games for you. I really could.
You know what's interesting? You know what's interesting is the New York Mets are so obviously tanking and just trying to get a bottom 6 pick because of salary restrictions and how much they spent. If they're not a bottom 6 pick, they lose. They drop in the draft order 10 spots. You would think the Cardinals are in that same spot where if they don't get the number 1 pick, they're going to be drafting 11 to 15. I mean, the Mets are so obviously tanking. But like the Sixers and the process and all that, then the Cardinals come and they say, hold my beer. And they have Kyler. So like, I'm not even sure why they're doing this all together. Like, are they just going to get rid of Kyler and get Caleb? I guess.
I guess it's all about capital. It's all about draft capital, I guess. I mean,
yeah,
I kind of give props to teams that are like, we don't want to be in the middle. Let's just suck. Like, because it's you kind of get stuck in purgatory. You really do. Like,
yeah, but I mean, I understand what you're saying, but even if they have Colt McCoy start, they're probably winning 4 games. Like, let's be real. Like, they're probably not winning much.
But if you're going to win 4 games, might as well just win 0.
Yeah, I guess so. But yeah, I mean, I get it. I'm just not a fan of like, I mean, I guess the guys are going out there are not going to try and lose the game. You know what I mean? Like, they're still competing for future jobs, but it's just like, I've never seen this blatant a display of tanking ever.
Yeah, we'll watch it and it'll be a train wreck and it'll be really ugly. So,
yes.
And I will stay with you in the NFC West here. And I'm going to go, look, the Seattle Seahawks, they're still not going away. The 49ers, are we sure like Purdy's going to keep it up and just like snap back into it again? And like, they're going to be great and all that. Like, I'm not so sure. And when you look at the board, finding value, I mean, this late in the season is tough. These lines are really, really sharp. But I want to, that division, I think the Rams suck. I think the Cardinals suck. 49ers are obviously good. Seattle is going to have plenty of opportunities. I bet them to make the playoffs at -120. And I threw a little sprinkle on them to win the division as well at +240. What do you think?
I mean, I don't hate it. I just I still can't get my head around the fact that Geno Smith is like a decent quarterback because I watched him for so many years in New York. I think I agree with you. Like, I don't know about Brock Purdy, but I think that offense doesn't need a quarterback to succeed. Like, you could have one of us in the backfield, and with Debo and Ayuk and McCaffrey and all the guys that are yak monsters, you could give them a 2-yard pass and they could turn it to 20. And Shanahan's a genius. So I personally don't love fading the Niners in general. I think they're going to win the division. I don't hate like the pick. Like I think any of those teams minus Arizona can win the division. But I'd say that's a hot take because I think that the Niners are the obvious, the Rams are the second, and unless you're high on shrooms or drugs, the Cardinals ain't coming close. So
the Rams are not second. The Rams, we could be in for a train wreck in LA.
But you assume Stafford's healthy, and you assume McVay's smart enough to keep them relevant, and like then all of a sudden with that defense, their
win total 6.5.
Are they really only 6.5?
Yeah.
I might go take the over. That you might just convince me to go take the. I would have said like 8. I would have said they're right in the Seattle 8.5, 7.5.
Seattle is Francesa moment here 8.5.
I mean, I don't think 2 wins separate those 2 teams. That's my opinion.
Charlie.
That's my opinion.
So I don't think do I think they're going to win the division? No, it's the bet.
It's a value. Yeah.
And I have more confidence in making the playoffs. I think making the playoffs is fair.
Yeah, I mean, I think especially when you look at that entire conference, like there are a lot of teams with question marks. So like Seattle does have, and they get to play Arizona twice. So that's already 2 free wins. Like,
there you go.
Starting out with 2 of the. That's what I'm thinking about LA. They have to win 5 more games the rest of the year after they play Arizona twice.
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be tough. The NFC is bizarre this year. I mean, with no Aaron Rodgers, it's so that I'd say your take is about as mild as it gets. Charlie comes in. I'm gonna start you off. The Cardinals suck.
I said it's gonna get progressively hotter. I'm gonna get progressively hotter, and you're gonna stay around that medium to hot level. I think that was like a 7 out of 10 on the spicy scale.
Thank you. All right, move us next.
All right, I will do the NFC South because we'll get progressively hotter.
Okay.
The NFC South, the Atlanta Falcons are winning that division. I think that this is a great bet to make at above 2-1. Carolina is starting a rookie quarterback. Tampa Bay has Baker Mayfield, so they might as well be starting a rookie quarterback as Baker sucks. And that's already 2 teams that are completely out of it. And then when it comes down to it, is do the Saints make the playoffs, or are they great with Derek Carr, or do the Falcons, who were not too bad last year, take over a weak division? And I think that is the obvious answer here, especially at that value of around plus 200 to 220, depending where you look. They have a dominant run game. Bijan, Algier, they have the necessary weapons with London and Pitts. Like, they have a really good young core. Their biggest issue is Ritter and how well does he perform, right? That's obviously the biggest issue. But I don't think that the coaching tree or the coaching comparisons from Atlanta to New Orleans is like night and day. I think it's close. And I think that the offenses are comparable. Like, I think you could even make, like, especially with Kamara missing the first 4 weeks, I think that could play a huge role. And then he comes back rusty. I think the Falcons have the necessary pieces and the ceiling to win that division, and the Saints on the vice versa opposite end have the floor to be a very bad team, because Carr didn't show me much in Las Vegas last year.
Off the bat, I'm looking to sell on Atlanta. I just think that they're getting a little too much love. The problem is, when I want to push back on your take, is that I think that number to win the division is pretty good, because I don't think that the Saints are head and shoulders above them. My problem is Desmond Ritter. I mean, this isn't college football where like the running back is just gonna go win you the division. And I'm looking for every which way to push back against that. But when I look at it, Carolina and Tampa, I think, are going to be so fucking bad that I'm like, it's hard for me to totally annihilate you here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I'm kind of stuck with this. Like, I don't believe in Atlanta in a vacuum at all, really. But I believe in them more than Carolina and Tampa.
Yeah, I think it's interesting, right? Like, I think that with Ritter and the system that they're setting up in Atlanta, you can keep the ball out of his hands a lot. Like, you could keep the game on the ground. You can use Ritter in RPO because he is an athletic guy. And they have the short pass of and the safety valve of Pitts. And then London's only going to get better. So I think that they have the pieces to really keep him out of danger. And they run the football so much if they control a lead, they can really just grind and grind and grind, similar to what Cleveland did when Baker was quarterback, and Baker can only make a certain amount of reads and plays. They relied on shove and hunt and kept it on the ground and short, and were a competitive team. And then you put it all together, and the Saints are not that good. They are live. That's my
they are live. You're right. Like, you kind of convinced me, especially with the number. But I also too, like, when you say, okay, they could grind on teams, I immediately always go to, well, that makes them kind of have to have a perfect game script for things to go well. That's always like my thing. My trepidation with the NFL is like, okay, yeah, that's fine if you're Navy, but like, this is the NFL. You're gonna have to throw it when you need it, and I have no idea if Desmond Ridder can play.
Yeah, right. But I think that like at the number that we have, whatever, like 2-1, that is worth taking a stab on Ridder being. If Ridder's a half decent quarterback, I think that this is a 50-50 toss up.
Yeah, I know. It feels that way. It feels that way. You kind of convinced me. I might even take it, even though I'm super reluctant.
Or at least think their win total over is like 7.5. Like,
no, I like that division number better. I like the division number better.
Okay.
I would. So I'll say, when I looked at this division, it took everything in me to not bet Tampa to miss the playoffs minus 500. I think it could get real ugly in Tampa. Baker is not him, and some of the pieces around him, you blink, they were used to a Tom Brady team. That's like, regardless of how poorly Brady played at times last year, like, it's a different culture when Baker Mayfield replaces a 7-time Super Bowl champion. So I wanted so badly to do it. I don't think I am, but it'd be so fun to do. Just to say I have it. Maybe if it's just 50-10.
That's similar to like the home run derby when you live bet. Was it a Rosarena to win or Robert to win, and it was like minus 600.
Yeah, and I laid a lot of the 600.
Yeah, but I think it's interesting. The Bucs also don't have a center. Jensen's out for the year, so like you're not only asking Baker to do a lot, but now you're asking him to do it with a brand new center that he's not used to. Yeah, I mean, I'm not a fan of Baker. My roommates in my old apartment will tell you how much I just laid into him and how much I don't think he's an actual serviceable quarterback. I don't think they come near the playoffs.
Yeah, and the number says that as well. So I would say your take is medium, because a lot of people seem to be on the Falcons, but I like how you got at them with the division. And I will say this is like the actual, like my biggest take, and it's still in take formation. It's in the take factory. I am between now and Thursday night when NFL starts next Thursday, I will have a bet on an offensive rookie of the year that is not Bijan Robinson. I think he's getting way too much love. He's obviously sick. He's nasty, but Algier is still really good, really capable. And I just think everything's just like Bijan. To me, when you just being around the NFL, handicapping the NFL, when everybody says something's going to happen, it doesn't always happen. So I don't know who it is, but I'm going to look for someone else. I'm on the hunt. If you can think of someone, text me.
I think it's a medium take too. I listen, I'm with you. I think it's like everyone's too high on Bijan. Which, like, listen, he could be amazing, and he's drafted in the first round for a reason. But like you said, like, are they really just going to hand him the keys to the Ferrari and not let Algier get the ball 10 times a game and then just give him 20 to 25? Or are they going to save him and use him for the entire season and give him only 15 to 20-ish touches a game and use Ridder on the ground and use Algier and use all the other guys? I don't hate that look at all. But yeah.
Perfect. All right, move on.
You go to the north.
Okay. Oh, I'm going north. Okay.
Yeah.
Let me tell you right now, Charlie. You look at the NFC North, you pull up the odds, and everyone's like, I see a lot of people talking to me. Lions are a lock. Lions plus 120 to win the division. The Detroit fucking Lions. if you've been alive, doesn't matter if you're 25 years old, 85 years old, the Lions always suck. And I don't think that their miss the playoffs suck, but they should not really ever be a division favorite as long as that they're playing in that division. And as long as that they're a franchise. To me, it's laughable. They have not won the division since 1993. This is the year. So I instantly was like, I'm looking anywhere else other than the Detroit Lions to win the division. So I actually like all three of the other teams. Yeah, I think they're all live. But I landed on the Chicago Bears. I don't love Fields, but I love his makeup, and I like the direction that they're headed. They ended the year on the second half of the season since that New England game. They were great. So I have the Bears to make the playoffs at plus 175. I have a little sprinkle on the Super Bowl, 60-1, and a little sprinkle on to win the NFC, 30-1.
I mean, listen, I think that's a hot take, but one that I'm behind you on. I think that they added DJ Moore. They made the necessary add of him. They give Fields another weapon, and I think that that's what you have to do is you have to surround him with a ton of talent. Khalil Herbert's great. Fields' legs are dynamic. Everyone seems to, you know what's interesting, because a lot of people you talk to, they're very on either Chicago is super underdog, and I think that's a lot of people around action have that feeling and sentiment. And then like my friends are all like, Justin Fields sucks, the Bears suck, the Bears are not going to be good. And I tend to lean with the more forward, sharper thinkers of, listen, this offense has a chance to be excellent and dynamic, and Fields has a chance to be great. So I am also joining you because I think that the Lions should not be this heavy favorites, and I don't think the Vikings are for real. The Vikings, if you followed Sean Kerner and Nick Giffen at all last year, one of the luckiest teams in all of football. Their defense is not that good. Their offense, yes, they have Justin Jefferson and Addison, but like they just didn't address their biggest needs, and they added another wide receiver when Thielen left, who was done. But I like it. I think it's a hot take. I like it. The one thing I'll add before we move on to the East is that if you want to get involved in the North, and a take that I have is I think Jared Goff is worth a look at the MVP. He's like about 25-1. If you think the Lions are going to win the division, why would you lay the juice? You would just bet Goff to win the MVP, because an MVP candidate usually wins 10 to 13 games. The Lions, if they win that division, are going to win 10 to 13 games. And if you look at Goff and how they ended the season, and the Lions were the talk of the town at the end of the year, in his last 9 games of the season, 68.3%, 2,400 yards, 15 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. The Lions were 7-2. If he even replicates close to that, all of a sudden that 25-1 number is going to be 5-1. I'm going to be sprinkling on him. In previous episodes, we talked about Tua. I'm going to sprinkle on a handful of guys, and then hopefully by the end of it, it's just not Mahomes or Allen, and one of the 5 long shots that I bet come to fruition.
Yeah, look, as much as I just shit on the Lions, Jared Goff, I mean, the guy deserves some credit. He had a tremendous season last year. They're smart in that they give him enough around him where he's not asked to do too much. Like, you know, instead of just crucifying the guy for not being Patrick Mahomes, how about you just say, look, he's limited, and we're going to do everything we can to help alleviate some of his limitations.
Yeah.
I think they deserve a lot of credit.
That team is set up for success, and I don't think it's worth it laying the North Division juice number, but I think that it's worth a sprinkle on him to win MVP, because I think that he has a legit shot.
That leaves us with the NFC East. Actually, do we measure our takes? I think your take, we're basically on the same thing, and it's about a medium to spicy.
Yeah. Okay. I'd say mine's a little bit hotter than yours, but yeah.
Yeah. I like you. I like that. That's fine.
You like me? Thanks.
Yeah, you're a good guy. You're a good guy. Let's go to the East.
Yeah, all right. So, I mean, this is the one that I think both of us are in agreement is probably the hardest division to get a hot take from. My take is that I think Dak Prescott takes that step forward. I think that another step forward. I think he also is a guy that could be an MVP candidate. This team is extremely talented. Yes, he had the interception problem last year, but I think that that's going to come down this season. a little bit of bad luck and variance didn't go his way. But I think that Dak, after a full season after that severe injury, coming back in a division, in a conference that we aren't like too wowed by. Obviously, the AFC is the sexy division or conference. This is a chance for Dak Prescott to take the next step. I think Dallas, every time, I bet on Dallas to win the Super Bowl every single season. I'll probably do it again this year. I think Dak takes that next step. I'll probably sprinkle on them to win the Super Bowl, Dak to win MVP, similar to the whole Goff argument. I take a bunch of guys in the long shots, and hopefully one of them kind of comes down in number, and maybe you just have a nice portfolio building. So that's my take. It's not great. It's not sexy, but I think Dak takes that next step and actually solidifies himself as a top 10, if not higher, quarterback in the NFL, if he's not already.
A pro Cowboys take is hard to judge in the preseason because I feel like they always get so much love because the roster never really seems to be a problem. So, but the fact that you are kind of saying, hey, I'm going to be a believer in Dak Prescott, I think that makes the take a little hotter. I think a lot of people are down on Dak. He becomes like, he is just he get on Twitter, people just, it's like low hanging fruit.
And listen, I was one of those guys that when Dak came out of the NFL or out of college, I was like, the guy can't throw anything other than a check down.
I thought he was going to be Tim Tebow.
Yeah, so did I. And I've been thoroughly impressed with how much he's progressed over the last few years. And I think that this is like the next step that he makes and progression into that dominance of being a quarterback under center in a good offense.
Yeah, I think one of the most underrated factors too is the fact that Zeke being gone, I think helps them so much. I feel like they had this like weird thing because they were so invested in him financially. He was obviously a first round pick that they kind of felt like we have to force feed Zeke. He loves to be force fed. And so it was like, I think it's kind of like a weight off their shoulders. Yeah, right. It's a kind of a weight off their shoulders. So we have to go quick here. But I will say, I looked at, I want to fade the Eagles because I'm like, okay, yeah, obviously, went to the Super Bowl last year. Let me look to fade them. Their over-under win total is 11.5. And I went through it and I still got over 11.5 every single time. So I want to so badly, I hate Philly. I want to so badly be against them. But I think I might be square and just hit it. I hate it. But I just think that they're definitely the best team in that division, and they just are better than a lot of the teams in that NFC.
Yeah, I mean they're really good. I don't think I think that's a very mild take. You ended mild, I started mild. I think that they are probably the best team. I like taking the upside on Dallas. And yes, Zeke on is the only downside is that he's the dominant pass blocker. That was kind of what he was good for. But yeah, I mean, listen, I haven't looked at Philly's schedule, so I'll have to get back to you. But that is a mild take, Timmy.
Yep, and I'm excited to bet the Commanders all year. I think we're going to get some good value on the Commanders. I know you said that as well. Yep. We got to go. Be sure to, football is back. College football this weekend, week 1. This is the real thing. We're done with the appetizer. Give us the main course. NFL's coming. Everyone's got their fantasy drafts. It's a great time of year. We're getting there. Be sure to follow Charlie in the Action app at Charlie DiSturco. Follow me in the Action app, T Kalinowski 12, Timmy Cal 12 on Twitter. Have a great rest of your week. Everybody follow us on the Action app, Action YouTube channel, Action Network HQ on TikTok and Twitter. That's a wrap.